Good morning, trading world. Today is March 19th, 2024, and this is my pre-market outlook and technical analysis for day trading the markets. The title of today's outlook is Selling the Rumor Before CPI. I woke up this morning to a dying chart. The pre-market session looks to be going for it, as in a new swing low, ahead of FOMC. The biggest thing I saw this morning was the leaders in tech decided to synchronize and dive. Really, all it took was Nvidia and Microsoft, and they are both gapped down this morning. Instead of a continued pop-up into the FOMC announcement, it looks like we are going to plummet into the meat and likely bounce after. My targets for the futures are 51.81 3/4 and beyond. The reason I was looking for a drop tomorrow, aside from the FOMC announcement, is that the 4-hour cycle shows a low coming on today, with the trough falling between the 14th of March all the way to the 23rd of March. However, the daily timing is calling for a peak between the 18th and 19th. If we breach 51.81 3/4, the next level for the daily chart to head will be 51.40. My concern is that 51.40 is that it has become weak and may not hold very long. The other major thing to think about is that the weekly cycle trough is due between the 1st of March and April 15th. I think all of this is possibly to sell the rumor and may, for a short period, buy the fact. We are all expecting CPI to come in a little hot, and the dive confirms that this morning. Like it or not, I think all of this is the beginning of the correction due with the weekly trough. And it is quite possible we get another pop-up on Friday, but after that, there will probably be more down days than up days until the weekly trough is in. Going to try to get through this pretty quick this morning because we got a report coming up at 8:30 that I want to be situated for. So let's jump into the intraday levels of the day. Starting with the support levels, our Jack support zone is 51.67, Queen support zone 51.59, King support zone is 51.45 all the way down to 51.35. On the resistance side, our Jack resistance is 51.94, Queen resistance zone is 52.04, King resistance zone is 52.17 all the way up to 52.26. The important battle area, no man's land to hold, is going to be between 51.94 all the way down to 51.67. And I guess let me write that here. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's 51.94 all the way down to 51.67. In this no man's land, the more time we spend below 51.81, the more it speaks to a bearish reversal. The more time we spend above 51.81, the more likely we are to retrace higher into the previous range. On the other hand, if we bounce back, the resistance battleground is between 52.26 and 52.54. And let's write that in up here. 52.54. Now, in this battle zone, 5240 is going to be the line of demarcation. So the more time we spend above 5240, the more likely we are to retest highs. The more time we spend below 5240, the more likely it is to push lower. Today's reaction levels are as follows: 5192, 5181, 5141, and on the other side of that we have 5207, and 5216. I expect a fight to hold that 5181. We have reports dropping at 8:30 a.m., the all-important CPI, and housing starts and permits. The CPI, I think, is already impacting the tape. It may spike lower after that, but it's possible we kind of somewhat bounce back after that. It is possible. And then again, on the other end, it's possible for us to keep falling lower beyond that. Something to consider on days that threaten like this: if after the open the ATR on the 5-minute chart goes above 5, I would rather use options on futures instead of trade futures directly. And that's just because it becomes too dangerous. Even if you have a stop loss set, sometimes in the order execution, things get moving so fast it can still jump your stop loss. So I consider things like that, and then just the volatility of it, of how fast and far things are moving. It doesn't become very efficient to trade futures. The intraday scenarios are looking more like a trend day down for the day, and so I can draw that trend day down. Usually a trend day down starts with a gap down from the open, well, closer to the previous close, so that would be closer to this blue line. So we definitely have a gap down here, and what you could look for is that at some point play around in this level toward the open, and then once we open, we try to close that gap. We give a nice bounce somewhere up here, maybe that 5207 level, to try to close the gap, but we reject off of it and pretty much head back down until we get to that lunchtime chop area where we move sideways, and then coming out after the lunchtime chop around 2 o'clock, we usually get that head fake like we're going to move back up. And what usually happens, the head fake, we usually continue the primary trend from the morning to the close. So that's what a trend down day looks like. Now, the next probable scenario is going to be a rounded reversal. And that rounded reversal is going to continue hot through the open. And this is where we continue hot all the way until we get to that lunchtime chop where we move sideways. And then after the lunchtime chop, just as hard as we move down before lunchtime chop, we're probably going to go just as hard the opposite direction. That's a rounded reversal. Last, we should all know what a range day is. The last probable day scenario is going to be a range day. So these are the things that I'm looking for today. Spiking off of that CPI report this morning, like I said, I'm thinking that after CPI, we kind of get a bounce going back in the opposite direction, pushing us back up to these levels to kind of give us that pop up until CPI. And then CPI, the first move on CPI is going to be that shocker up. And then we kind of get into the trend after, or the day after, or the week after CPI, where we get back into a downtrend. So that's what I'm looking at so far. And as always, it's very important to remember your most important job as a trader is to protect the capital you already have. You do this by knowing and understanding the risks you face in each position and current market conditions. We manage that risk in accordance with our account size. I hope this helps. Wishing you a positive trading day. Let's go out and make it a great one.